Blue. The first Blue. Not they daughter Blu Cantrell. It's time for you to sing again.
Jay Z.
Oh my God! No. And I don't care who he's dating. I always had a crush on him though.
He had another woman that was pregnant that was about to come out with her pregnancy around the same time.
The islands?
Something like that.
All we do is make up. Ladies, when your man wanna get fucked.
Welcome back to StarHush, where the whispers ain't just noise, they're warnings. Because what we're about to dig into could flip the entire Jay Z legacy upside down. Blu Cantrell has been silent for way too long. And now, folks are saying that silence wasn't by choice. It was bought, locked down, and buried. Behind the glam, behind the power couple image, there's a story that's been hiding in plain sight. And it starts with Blu Cantrell and Jay Z. Word in the industry is that they weren't just linked, they were deeply involved. Some insiders even claim Blu ended up expecting Jay's baby, but the situation got covered up fast to protect the Carter empire. And now here's where it takes a wild left turn. There's a theory so twisted folks barely want to say it out loud, but it's buzzing again. What if Blue Ivy, Jay Z's daughter, isn't actually Beyonce's biological child? Yeah. Let that sink in. This isn't some fan-made thread. We're talking real whispers from folks in the room when deals were being cut and stories buried. Because Blu Cantrell wasn't just a one-hit wonder. Before she vanished, she was the moment.
I was steaming in the beamer, just steaming.
Born as Tiffany Cobb, Blu Cantrell had the full package. The voice, the look, the energy, plus all the right people backing her. Before she even stepped into the spotlight, she was out here grinding behind the scenes, writing and working with some of the biggest names, including Diddy. Then, 2001 hit, and she blew up with her debut album, So Blue. Her breakout track, Hit 'em Up Style, Oops, wasn't just a catchy tune, it became the anthem. It ruled radio, took over music TV, and climbed the charts fast. Her album, certified gold in just 2 weeks. Billboard, she climbed that too. Grammys, nominated twice right out the gate. Blu was on fire, doing interviews, rocking stage after stage, and standing toe-to-toe with early 2000s queens like Ashanti, Mia, and Monica. Everyone could see it. Blu was next up. She had a clear shot to the crown. But right when she was about to fully take over the R&B game, something behind the scenes shifted real fast. And no, it had nothing to do with her talent, sales, or the music itself. The problem? Jay Z.
Have you ever kissed Jay Z romantically?
No. No, I can't answer that.
The streets were talking, and they weren't whispering about no industry handshake. Blu and Jay Z were allegedly getting real close behind the scenes, and the vibes way beyond business. Folks were clocking those late-night link-ups, private events, and low-key vacations. All the kind of stuff you don't just do with someone you networking with. Diddy himself was said to be hosting some of those private parties where they were spotted together, looking cozy and locked in like more than just friends. Industry folks started buzzing heavy. Were Blu and Jay really just hanging out? Or was there something real going on behind closed doors? Then Wendy Williams came through and added fuel to the fire. On live air, she hit Blu with a direct question. Did you ever kiss Jay Z romantically? Blu didn't say yes, but she sure didn't say no. She giggled, blushed, looked down, played it cute. No clear answer, just a sly little smile that had everybody screaming, oh yeah, something definitely went down.
I think at the end of the day, a younger, less savvy to the ways of the world broad.
Somebody a little bit more naive.
You said it, not me.
The blogs went wild, the forums lit up, and the streets locked in. That one shady little smile from Blu was all folks needed to turn quiet whispers into full-on legend status. Meanwhile, Beyonce was stepping into her solo bag, young, polished, and moving like royalty in training. But if those behind-the-scenes whispers hold weight, Jay Z wasn't as locked in as people thought. Word is, he was torn between two heavyweights. Blu, the wild, no-filter fire starter who brought that raw heat, and Beyonce, the rising queen who played it clean, smart, and safe. And Blu, she didn't just throw hints, she dropped bombs. In that same messy Wendy Williams interview, she let it slip that maybe Jay Z didn't choose Beyonce just for her vocals, but because she was younger, easier to guide, and more willing to fall in line. At the time, folks called it shade, bitterness, or just Blu talking slick. But now, a lot of people say it was a red flag, a warning from someone who knew how the industry really moved. And Blu didn't stop there. She claimed Beyonce jacked her entire style. From the sound to the swag, Blu said she did it first. But then, silence, like someone hit mute on her entire career. No big scandal, no public meltdown, just gone. Her name faded from the headlines, her label let her go quietly, no promo, no farewell tour, just one of R&B's brightest voices erased like she never happened. Coincidence or a clean sweep by people with power? Jaguar Wright, another bold voice who spilled major tea on the industry, says it's way deeper than folks think.
Jay Z worked very hard to erase you and me.
Jaguar Wright didn't mince word. She said it loud, clear, and straight from the gut. Blu Cantrell didn't just fade away, she got pushed. According to her, Jay Z and Beyonce didn't just turn the other way. They allegedly used their influence to shut every door in Blu's face and wipe her name out of the game for good. And then came the move that had people doing a double take. They named their daughter Blue Ivy. Jaguar called that a bold move of erasure. Her exact words? Jay Z worked very hard to erase you and me, chilling. That's not just shade, that's war. Blu tried to come back swinging in 2013, calling herself a free agent and teasing a third album. She made noise like she was ready to tell her story, loud and clear. But then, nothing. No singles, no visuals, no interviews, just straight silence. Then came 2014, and everything unraveled. Blu was found wandering barefoot in Santa Monica, yelling that someone was trying to poison her with gas. Police stepped in, took her for evaluation, and the media had a field day. Headlines labeled her unstable without even asking questions. No sympathy, no digging, just chaos. And just like that, Blu Cantrell's name was scrubbed from the culture like she never existed. But here's the twist. What if that wasn't a meltdown at all? What if Blu was running from something way bigger than just industry politics? Some fans are convinced she wasn't breaking down, she was breaking out because what she knew could have rocked the whole game. Now here's where it gets deep. A theory's been floating through the streets for years, one that sounds too wild to be true, until it doesn't. Some folks believe Blu Cantrell might actually be the real mother of Blue Ivy Carter. Sounds like internet noise, right? Until you lay the breadcrumbs out. And suddenly, it starts to feel a little too clean, a little too quiet, and maybe even calculated.
So let's lock this down like it's supposed to be. The 03 Bonnie and Clyde.
Let's break this down because once you line up the timeline, things start feeling a little too neat. Blu Cantrell's spotlight suddenly went dark in 2004, just after her second album dropped. One minute she was all over the charts, doing interviews, red carpets, and press. The next, gone. It wasn't a slow fade, it was like someone cut the lights. And then, boom! Fast forward to 2012, Beyonce announces the birth of her daughter, Blue Ivy Carter. That name alone got folks buzzing, but when you look at the timing, it's enough to make the whole internet raise an eyebrow. Blu disappears. And 8 years later, Jay Z has a daughter named Blu, with the same name as the woman he was rumored to be connected to behind the scenes. People started wondering, why Blu? Was it really just about Jay Z's known obsession with the color, or was it a quiet nod to something or someone deeper? That's when things started spiraling. Some fans online began claiming that naming their daughter Blu was more than a coincidence. They called it a silent tribute, mixed with a strategic erasure, as in shout her out, but still block her out of the spotlight completely. And it didn't stop there. Theories started flying that maybe Blu Cantrell wasn't just erased, maybe she was caught up in something she couldn't walk away from. Some folks even started speculating that Blu Cantrell might have been pushed to step away from the spotlight after being pressured to give up something big, like a secret pregnancy. Others went further and claimed she may have been the one behind the scenes during Beyonce's pregnancy years. Though there's no official proof, that rumor still lingers. Remember that 2011 interview Beyonce did in Australia while pregnant? She sat down wearing a tight dress, and when she leaned forward, the bump folded in a way that made fans pause. People started claiming the bump looked like it collapsed. The internet went wild with conspiracy theories saying things like, "That's not real," and "Is she wearing a fake belly?" Now mix that with Blu Cantrell's sudden disappearance, people started saying it was all too convenient. If Beyonce didn't carry that baby, then who did? And some pointed the finger right back at Blu Cantrell. That's when everything went from rumor to full-blown legend. The theory goes like this. Blu was allegedly involved with Jay Z, got pregnant, and then got pressured to either give up the baby or walk away from the spotlight entirely. And when she didn't stay quiet, things got serious. Some claim she was told to keep quiet or face the consequences. Others say she was so overwhelmed she had no choice but to retreat. That's when Jaguar Wright entered the conversation. She's been known to speak out on what she sees as the darker sides of the music world, and she didn't hold back at all. She claimed that Blu Cantrell didn't just disappear, she was pushed out. Jaguar said Jay Z and Beyonce used their influence to make sure Blu was silenced and forgotten. And the wildest part? Jaguar even said naming the baby Blue Ivy was more about control than love, a way to take Blu's name and legacy and tuck it away under something shiny and new. Now here's where the story takes a hard turn. According to Blu herself, things behind the scenes weren't just stressful, they were heartbreaking. She once hinted that when Beyonce found out about a situation involving her and Jay Z, things got tense. Blu even said she felt like someone was trying to sabotage her. And when she broke down in Santa Monica back in 2014, barefoot and yelling about gas, fans didn't brush it off. People started saying, wait, was that really a breakdown? Or was she trying to warn us about something? She wasn't the only one either. Think about all the artists over the years who've spoken out, then gone quiet or disappeared. Britney, Kanye, Martin Lawrence, and now Blu Cantrell. Some fans believe this is what happens when you know too much in a game that wants you to stay quiet. It's the same blueprint every single time. When somebody starts shaking the system or digging too deep, the industry don't just put them on the back shelf, they get erased like they were never even here. And that's exactly why this Blue Ivy theory refuses to disappear. Even if you believe Beyonce is really her biological mom, the level of secrecy, all them whispers about NDAs, and the way her public image been locked down for years, it all makes folks wonder if there's way more going on than we've been told. Think about what it would really mean if Blu Cantrell actually had a son or daughter with Jay Z. That's not just personal. It would shake the Carter empire to the core. An empire worth billions. It wouldn't just be Jay Z getting caught up for being unfaithful. It'd flip him into a man who might have fathered a child and helped bury that truth. And Beyonce, she wouldn't just be seen as a powerhouse, she'd be viewed as someone who allegedly helped rewrite the whole storyline to protect the brand. As for Blu Cantrell, she'd go from forgotten R&B legend to the center of one of the most jaw-dropping celebrity sagas we've ever seen. But here's where it gets really weird. Blu never claimed to have a child. She never posted any photos, never gave an interview about motherhood, not a name dropped, not a whisper, just silence. And that silence? That's exactly what the industry needed from her. Blu didn't just lose momentum like some artists do. Her career didn't just fade out, it vanished like it got shut down overnight. Now, when you really start digging into how it all unraveled and who might have had something to gain, that's when it starts looking real suspect. Rewind back to 2003. Blu Cantrell was still hustling for her spot in the game. She dropped her second album, Bittersweet, and that joint had everything. Vocals, strong tracks, and it even got her another Grammy nomination. But behind the scenes, something was off. Despite how solid that album was, it barely got a push. No major promo, no headline features. It was like her label, Arista Records, just stopped showing up for her. Compared to how they boosted her debut, Bittersweet felt like a side mission. Her tour got cut short real quiet with no real explanation. And while Beyonce was gearing up to run the charts and dominate the pop world, Blu was slowly getting boxed out with no spotlight left on her. Then came the final blow. Arista didn't even renew her contract. No press release, no send-off, just poof, she was gone. That alone had folks raising questions. But what happened next? That's when things turned up. Blu didn't just walk away quietly. She called Beyonce out directly, said she was copying her entire style. And when you line up the receipts, it's hard not to notice. Blu dropped her Roundup music video first, a full-on Western vibe, dusty roads, cowboy energy, bold looks, and cinematic drama. Then not long after, Beyonce and Jay Z came out with their 003 Bonnie and Clyde visuals. And let's just say it looked real familiar. Same dusty back roads, high-stakes vibes, and that cowboy-inspired energy that Blu already did. It's no wonder people started saying she was getting iced out on purpose. A lot of folks feel like she was never meant to thrive after that. The timing, the silence, the sudden drop from the spotlight, it don't feel random. And when someone like Blu calls it out, you already know the industry don't take too kindly to that.
Baby boy, you stay on my mind, fulfill my fantasy.
Come on, man.
Blu's biggest hit, Breathe, featuring Sean Paul. That song had the smoothest island vibe and was blowing up all over. And guess who Beyonce linked up with not long after? Yup, Sean Paul too. Baby Boy came right behind Breathe with those same island vibes, steamy vocals, and a familiar bounce. You can't tell me that wasn't strategic. It ain't like Blu didn't notice. From the visuals to the vibe, the blueprint was being copied and pasted, and the fans saw it too. Beyonce's team was polishing every drop, making sure the rollout was flawless, while Blu's momentum, gone. Her budget got sliced, her team disappeared, and the buzz around her name started fading. Just like that. But Blu wasn't the type to sit back in silence. She didn't throw no subliminals. She called Beyonce out, loud and clear. Not just in music, but in the press too. During her interview with The Guardian, they asked her directly about Beyonce, and Blu hit hard. She said, "I'm an adult, she's younger, and if she's doing what you're saying, then she's being a little immature. If she goes there with me, it's the wrong move." Then she dropped a line that had everyone gasping. "If you have issues with your man, address it with him, don't take it out on the girl." Boom, the message was loud. Blu was not holding back. And it wasn't just shade at Beyonce, it was a straight shot at Jay Z too. But right after that, she was gone. No third album, no single, no tour, nothing. It's like somebody hit a switch and erased her whole career. And if this story sounds familiar, it should. Jaguar Wright been saying this is how the game works. Jaguar, another fearless voice who's taken the industry to task, calls it strategic erasure. She said it loud. If you speak up at the wrong time or you become a threat to someone in power, they shut you down. And Blu? She didn't just get forgotten, she got removed. If there really was something between her and Jay Z, maybe even something bigger, then the way she got iced out wasn't about music. It was about protection, control, keeping the Carter empire clean. Because if Blu had a deeper connection to Jay, erasing her wasn't just about hits, it was about hiding the truth. And Blu wasn't the only one. Take a look at some of the other women who were dominating before Beyonce went solo. Maya, Monica, Aaliyah, they were everywhere, killing stages, winning awards, making major moves. But then, one by one, their shine started dimming. Maya went from headlining award shows to going fully independent. Monica kept dropping bangers, but radio started ignoring her. And Aaliyah, who was crossing into Hollywood superstardom, tragically passed in 2001, right when Destiny's Child was taking over. Some fans believe this wasn't just bad luck. It was a reshuffle, a reset. And guess who was getting power during that exact time? Jay Z. By 2004, he was named president of Def Jam. That's serious control over who gets to rise or who gets pushed out. And 2004 just so happens to be the year Blu's career flatlined. She didn't just lose traction, her whole label deal with Arista vanished. No announcement, no goodbye, no reason, just gone. That alone had folks whispering, but Blu later dropped a bombshell that made jaws hit the floor. She said she was told to use a specific lawyer for her contract negotiations. But that same lawyer was also working for the label. That ain't just shady, that's straight up sabotage. She said, "If I'd known, I would have gotten my own lawyer. That lawyer was working for them. They took what was mine." She lost control of her masters, barely got royalties, and every time she tried to fight back, boom, another wall. No team, no voice, no industry love. And when all that pressure finally broke her in 2014, that moment in Santa Monica where she was barefoot in the street, screaming about someone trying to poison her, people laughed. The media called her unstable, but the real ones knew this wasn't a breakdown. It was fallout. By that time, Blu Cantrell was already erased from the charts, blacklisted from the game, and left with nothing but her truth and no mic to speak into. And now, when you look at it all laid out like this, it's real hard to believe this was just some regular career flop.
Jay Z worked very hard to erase you and me, just like he did Elle, just like he did his relationship with R. Kelly, just like he did his relationship with Aaliyah. Blu, it's time to talk.
So picture this. Fans who once watched Blu Cantrell running the charts suddenly blinked and she was gone. No goodbye, no final single, just silence. But then, boom, her name pops back up, only not for a music comeback. Blu was found barefoot in the streets of Santa Monica, middle of the night, 2 a.m., screaming about someone trying to gas her. Police picked her up on site and rushed her in for a psych eval. And just like that, tabloids had their headline. But instead of asking what pushed her there, the media slapped labels on her fast. Unstable, washed up, crazy singer spiraling. And just like that, the public moved on. It was written off like just another celebrity meltdown. But for some fans, that energy felt way too familiar. This ain't the first time we've seen this play out. Back in '96, Martin Lawrence was found in traffic, waving his arms, yelling people were out to get him. Folks laughed it off like he just snapped. Then in 2016, Kanye West was dragged off to a hospital after calling out Jay Z, Beyonce, and some serious behind-the-scenes power plays during his concert tour. Even Britney Spears got labeled crazy after years of being trapped under a legal situation that turned her world upside down. She shaved her head, smashed a car window, and they acted like she was just broken. But anyone watching close could see, these stars weren't losing their minds. They were trying to speak. And that's the same blueprint Blue story followed. One minute she's red carpet ready, the next, erased like she never existed. But here's where it twists. Blue didn't stay quiet forever. Years after that Santa Monica night, she started talking. And when she did, whew, it flipped the whole story upside down. According to Blue, what happened in 2014 wasn't some random breakdown. It was a buildup of years of silence, betrayal, and trauma. She says she didn't just lose her career, she was pushed out, set up, left with no voice, no platform, and no real way to fight back. She called out the very lawyer who handled her Arista Records deal, said he wasn't working for her at all. In fact, Blue claimed that lawyer was secretly working for the label and for Jay Z's camp. They were all working together to basically take what was mine, she said. In her eyes, it was a full setup, conflict of interest, manipulation, and a campaign to shut her down. And the wildest part, she said that night in Santa Monica wasn't just panic, it was her running for her life. Blue claims someone actually tried to poison her with gas. That breakdown? She said it was a desperate escape from something way darker than people realize. Now look, we can't prove that part. But here's the thing. She's not the only one who said something similar. Take Tiara Mari, once hyped to be the next big thing under Jay Z's Rockefeller Records. Her debut was supposed to be major, but out of nowhere, her whole career stalled. And word on the street, Beyonce allegedly felt Tiara was getting too close to Jay and shut that down instantly. There was even a blind item that said Beyonce sent a warning to all major labels. Nobody was to sign Tiara, period. And anyone who even thought about going behind her back allegedly got a quiet visit. Just a reminder of who really had the power. And then came the whispers about a woman named Kathy White. Kathy had reportedly been romantically linked to Jay Z, and rumors swirled that she was expecting. She was allegedly planning to go public and speak her truth. But the day before she was set to do that, she was found gone. No press storm, no deep dive investigation, just silence. The case closed fast, and questions were left hanging in the air. And even though it faded from headlines, those whispers never really stopped. Over the years, more folks started connecting dots, and those whispers, they weren't just about Jay Z anymore. Some started pointing toward Beyonce, too.
Other mistress that has a love child with Jay Z, allegedly. I didn't work on that story, but the reporters that did reported that, she was paid very well.
There are people who believe Kathy White was silenced before she ever had a chance to speak up. And with that in mind, Blu Cantrell's 2014 breakdown starts to hit way different. It didn't look like a meltdown. It looked like the final scream of someone who'd been pushed too far, held under too long, and finally cracked. By then, Blue had nothing left. No record label, no team, no protection from the industry. The moment she broke down publicly, they branded her unstable and kept it moving. The headlines focused on drama, not truth. The machine did what it always does, move on fast and bury the rest. But Blue wasn't alone in this. As Beyonce's rise became unstoppable, other women in R&B started vanishing, and not gradually, but suddenly. These weren't simple career dips. These were straight-up disappearances with no real explanation. One by one, big names were wiped from the mainstream: Tiara Mari, Kathy White, Blu Cantrell, and then came Mia. Back in the late 90s and early 2000s, Mia was everywhere. Platinum albums, Grammy wins, major features, and performing next to the biggest names out. She had global success and respect. But right when Beyonce went solo and started gaining momentum, Mia's career hit a wall. Fast. Her mainstream presence dropped, her team fell apart, and her label pushed her toward indie deals. Years later, Mia herself admitted it felt like she was blackballed, left to rebuild her name while the spotlight moved on without her. And then there's Aaliyah. Before Beyonce went solo, Aaliyah was dominating both music and film. She was young, stylish, successful, and already being groomed to become a crossover legend. But in 2001, everything changed with that tragic plane crash. And not long after, Destiny's Child wrapped up, and Beyonce's solo journey officially began. Some fans say it was just timing, others believe it was a shift in culture. But a few look deeper and think the competition simply got removed. And that's what brings everything back to Blu Cantrell. What if her story wasn't just a forgotten chapter? What if it was the blueprint? The quiet test run of how the industry deals with people who get too close to something they weren't supposed to. She had the talent, the support, and the machine behind her. Then, out of nowhere, it all got stripped. She didn't fumble her career, she got erased. And the scariest part? This system still runs today. Now the silence is finally breaking. People are starting to speak up. Whistleblowers like Jaguar Wright are calling out names. Old footage is being pulled up. Interviews Blu gave years ago are gaining new attention. And the truth behind these contracts and backroom deals, it's slowly surfacing. If Blu really was silenced, who else has been hidden? How many more stories got wiped before they could be told? If this video got you thinking, make sure you like, subscribe, and drop a comment down below. Tell me, who do you think got pushed out? Who's still in the shadows waiting to be heard? Share this with someone who remembers, and I'll catch you on the next one. My stars and hushers.